Welcome back, everyone, to the round 2, back 9 of the Chautuqua Park Open. Lead card coverage brought to you by Copaya Collision Center. Huge thank you to them for sponsoring the tournament. We return to the triumphant victory of one person. Who is it? It's a mystery. Could it be the guy who's currently leading? We'll never know. Hole 10, par 3, 300 and something feet. I don't know. Just throw it real far and you'll be good. We don't have any OB to the left or to the right. We do have OB in the middle here. There's a little bit of a stream, and if your disc is surrounded by water, you will invoke an OB stroke and you'll have to take it from wherever it went out. Hopefully none of our players have to experience that, but we shall see. Bit of a fast green. It is pretty covered in leaves and pine straw, so a little bit scary. Silas up first, forcing over forehand. Doesn't quite come out enough and kicks some early stuff to the left, but he won't be OB, thankfully. Logan up now.
Oh my.
Absolutely lacing this one right down the middle. If it didn't hit these leaves, I think that might have gone in. But that is ideal. Beautiful shot. Chad. This one leaking way right, and he knew it out of his hand. He'll be in a very tough spot. Mason lining up that forehand.
Come on. Come on.
Really getting some power on this one.
Ooh. Nice shot.
Almost ringing up the ace. I was hoping for it. It would have been awesome. He'll end up with a circle one look. This is Chad. A really unfortunate result here. You see his disc rolling down, and that does roll OB into the creek. So he will be throwing his third from there. That was, I believe that was, who was that? I'm not sure now. But here's Silas for his two, and he's good for it. Man, he's all over the basket today. Mason for his birdie look. Yeah, he's good for that as well. That must have been Chad. That must be Chad's blue disc there.
No.
Logan just a little bit low for his birdie. You hate to see that. He's good for his par, and then I believe Chad will have a double bogey here. May just be a regular bogey. Nope, double bogey. Really, really unfortunate result to roll all the way down. Moving on to hole 11. Hole 11, almost the exact same shot, but in reverse. Instead of the basket being on the right, it's on the left, and instead of throwing up, well, I guess you still are throwing. You know what? Never mind. I'm just incompetent. Don't worry about me. So just throw something nice and soft that just glides straight toward the basket, and you should be pretty good. It's only about 300 feet, but it is played downhill a significant amount, so you don't even have to throw it quite that hard. So I'd probably throw something like a maiden here. Silas up first. Hitting you, that little zing you heard was hitting the power line, and that really took a lot of the power out of that. Mason up now. Leaking this one a bit left, and he will be just stopped by that tree. Should have a pretty good look for the par. Logan now. This one ended up in a great spot. Good camera work. He hit that fallen log there right behind the basket. Chad with a nice low zinger here. Unfortunately fading out early. And he will be OB in that creek. Surrounded by water.
Go. Woo, nice.
Mason giving a jump putt. He'll have a pretty easy par from there. Silas, a little forehand up shot. Should have a pretty easy 3. Now you see the yellow disc to the left of Chad there in the water. And just a little low for his par save, and he will have a bogey. Logan with a birdie look. Very good birdie. Slowly but surely taking those strokes back. Silas for his par. Chain out. Just cut right through them. Really, really bad result there. Mason for his 3. Nice. You hate to lose a stroke like that. And Chad with the unfortunate bogey from the OB. We move on to hole 12. Hole 12, par 3. This is probably about 350 feet, but it definitely plays a lot longer than whatever the distance is because of how uphill it is. So you just have this dead straight shot. What big surprise here at Chautuqua Park. Dead straight, lots of trees. Again, another big surprise. Narrow gap. Again, they're changing everything up now. And then once you get to around here, you want to take a sharp left up this hill, probably about 15-20 feet of an incline up to the basket. So really, really difficult par 3. So the primary goal, I just can't talk today. The goal is to get to a good spot to get up and down. So let's see what our players do. Logan opting for the right side, going to a great spot, easy up and down from there. He'll probably have a look at the run in the basket. Mason up now.
Is that the gap you hit last time?
Double kick off to the amp pad, right where Thunder was last round. Silas up now.
Left.
Also going for that right gap. Ending up right next to Logan. Good spot. Chad kicking left. Further left than where Mason is. He'll be a bit more cut off, but not by much. See if Mason can repeat Thunder's recovery.
Nice shot, dude. What an animal.
Yeah, and this did end up in a fantastic spot. Chad throwing this really high and getting the absolutely horrible backwards kick. And unfortunately not giving me time to set up before throwing. And this will also hit really early and kick him straight down. So he'll have a look for the double bogey save. Silas for his 2. Good up and down. He'll have an easy 3 from there.
Oh, skip it. Dang it.
Silas calling for the skip in.
That's that, Chad. Nice. Good.
Chad good for his double bogey. And that's the danger of this hole, is that you really have to get through. Mason ended up in a great spot for being so out of position. Great 3 save. Silas and Logan to tap in their 3s. Significantly less work than Mason had to do, but scorecard doesn't care. Moving on to hole 13. Par 3, this is only about 200 feet. It is a little bit uphill, so it plays a little bit longer than that, but just a stock right-hand forehand shot or left-hand backhand shot, just to throw it not too hard, not too soft, just get under the basket, you know, just get under the basket. It's that easy. Just do it. Logan, primarily a backhand player, opts for the turnover shot.
That's good.
We'll see that. Let's see how that plays out, Cotton.
That's not really good.
And he has a bit of a good spot.
It's 8.
Just get straight down there and you'll have a look at the basket from 20, 25 feet. Mason opting for that forehand.
You live today.
Great correction from round one. Round one he did hit that tree and had a bit of a circle 2 look. Silas also hit left round one, so we'll see how he recovers from that.
Do it.
Much better line.
It's so easy. Why am I never just stood there and just...
Silas being like, what the heck? All the time I've played here, I've never done that.
Do it.
Power sidearm thrower Chad Sherbert. Putting a good line on this. We'll probably see a star frame here. Silas for his 2 from probably about 18 feet.
Yeah, boy. Good.
As we would expect from our card. Whole lot of 2s. I was going to say green, but we don't have green scorecards here, so. Logan good for his 2. And after stopping the swinging basket, Mason was good for his 2 as well. So moving on, hole 14. In this case, this is the basket we'll be playing to. It will not be moved over to the further to the right, so probably see a lot of forehands here. I don't believe there's any OB on this hole. So the basket's just 350 feet or so, 300 feet, somewhere around there, just through this way. So you'll probably want to get a little bit of a hyzer flip on your forehand, or just go for the backhand turnover, which is what I would personally opt for, as I don't have a forehand. But most of our players either very proficient with the backhand or a serviceable sidearm, as MJ would say. And in this position, it is a par 3. Logan up first. Opting for that backhand turnover. And hitting the tree pretty high up. He'll be in a spot to save the 3, but not what you would like. Mason getting a lot of turn on this one, ending up in a great spot. He should have a look at the 2. See if Silas can correct the mistake he made round 1. Not quite. Not quite. Chad throwing this out nice and smooth with a nice understable disc. He should be in a good spot for the 2. Silas has to get up and down from here. Shouldn't be too hard. You can see the basket right over there. And if it, ideally that would have checked up a little bit, but he'll have a 15 or so footer for his par. Logan getting a good shot over there. Here's Mason for his 2. For being as short as this hole is, this is a pretty difficult par 3. Mason's just not giving this quite enough height, but he'll have a tap-in 3. Not losing any strokes to the card, but also not gaining anything. Chad giving a good run to this, just coming up a little bit short. Silas for his par save from probably 15 feet. And that just never had a chance to go in. A really unfortunate misrelease there. He's in for the 4. And the rest of our cards tapping in their 3s. And we move on to hole 15. Hole 15, par 4. This is around, I'm going to guess about 550 feet. I just did the editing on this to put this all together, so I should remember, but I don't. But as is the style here at Chautauqua Park, you've got this really narrow gap. You've got this mulch pile that you don't want to hit because that would be really sad. But as far as Chautauqua Park goes, this isn't the most narrow gap, so you do have some space to get some power. Ideally, you'll land right around here where the drone is, and anything further than that is a bonus. Anything worse than that is the opposite of a bonus, whatever that is. I don't know. English isn't my first language, if you couldn't tell. So it's a really pretty hole. Got this tree to catch any discs that are too high and knock them down. A little bit of a hill that it's on, so if it does roll, you do have a little bit of a risk of a roll away, but it's not super bad like we saw on hole, I believe, 5 of those. Logan up first. Getting some nice distance here. Getting a little nice hyzer flip, and he'll end up in a good spot. Mason up now. Ending up a little bit left, he'll have a nice hyzer into the basket, but he's in a good spot. Anytime you can get out to the mouth of the road there, it's a good spot. And like, yeah, that's a good spot too. You're saying it can go as far left as it wants. It really doesn't make the hole more difficult to go further left. See if Silas can smash this out. Whack! You could hear that frickin' snap off his fingers. And if this didn't hit this tree, this thing would have been zooming towards the basket. Logan, pulling out the very rare Logan Weiss forehand. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name properly. I've never heard it said, so. Yeah, I don't know why we don't see more forehands from him. That was amazing. Silas opting for a spike hyzer angle. He'll leave himself probably a 15-footer. Chad trying to ring up the eagle here. Fantastic shot from Chad. Mason giving me no time to set up. Trying to throw it in for eagle. Spiking it right at the basket. Silas for his 3. Just a bit low. So, rest of our card in the 3. Silas card in the 4. Come on, Chad. Why do you have to do this? 2 hours later. Move on to hole 16. Hole 16, par 3, 320-ish feet. The opening shot is actually... Opening shot? The first shot is actually pretty open. You ideally get a nice turnover or a nice forehand to just go down here and miss those bushy trees. If you get caught in those bushy trees, they tend to be like glue and catch your disc. Pretty fast green, so you can rely on a little bit of ground play to skip up towards the basket if you land a little bit short. And there's this little retaining wall that'll leave you about 15, 18 or so feet if you catch it. So let's see what our players do. No OB as far as I know. Logan opting for the backhand turnover. Trying to ring up the ace. Parked for his 2. Mason opting for the turnover. Just way too inside. Getting caught by that bushy tree, kicking straight down. And he'll be pretty close to that tree, so he'll have to straddle out. Chad getting a lot of turn on this. It is coming out a little bit, so he'll have probably 20 or so feet for this birdie look.
Do it. Oh, it's slow.
Silas getting some good angle on this one. Definitely tried to ring up the ace. He'll have a 10, 15 foot putt for his birdie, I'm sorry. Mason to get up and down. Thankfully that fast green didn't let him roll, just caught a little bit of that, the leaves and whatnot, so he did just skip forward a bit instead of rolling. So this is for his 3. And just a little bit to the right and low. Chad for his 2. Good catch by the basket. Silas for his 2. That was very high, but thankfully, scorecard doesn't care. Mason for his 4. And Logan with the park job. Probably 8 feet. And we move on to hole 17, probably the hardest hole on the course. Par 4, somewhere around 600 feet, probably further than that. The drone is taking the old pro pad, so we're actually about 150 or so feet further back behind. So there's, as you'll see on coverage, it's a really narrow gap. Then you have that hill that you have to come over, so if you don't have the height, you'll be caught on that hill, and you'll have a blind shot to try and get through to this green. The basket is on this hill here, so when you're throwing a hyzer, you'll get a bit more skip than you normally would. OB road to the left and wrapping around the basket. You see it there. It is OB because it is a main road that you will have cars driving on instead of a service road. Logan getting a great flip on this, and he'll end up on that hill next to the AMPAD, which is ideally where you want to land. Chad up next.
That's really good.
That's a little better than I didn't.
Getting a great shot in here. Further right than he was in round 1, which is a much better position.
Miss it.
Coming off of his fingers, it's just smoking.
Love kick. Love kick.
Getting a little bit of a kick off of the tree, but nothing bad. This is Mason's nemesis hole. And as you see there, not a lot of improvement from the first round. So, third shot here, he's not out. And fourth shot, he's still not out. This is just... This sucks. This is not fun to watch. He will finally be out. But he'll still got some work to do. Logan pulling out the rare forehand. Opting for the roller, but this is cutting really early, and he will end up pretty close to the road. Here's Chad's drive. This is pretty good. Throw it nice and wide, expecting the ground play. Yep, and there it is. Mason just walked up, threw the hyzer, walked off. So we'll see where he landed. Here's Silas. This is an amazing drive. Just an easy, soft hyzer to the basket. Must be nice. Here's where Logan ended up. So he's still got some work to do. And just pitching up. Not going to try and get any fireworks here.
Nice putt.
Mason, great putt. I believe that was for double bogey. Here's Chad for his 3.
Nice move, Chad.
That's Logan tapping in his par. And Silas just behind him for his 3. And he's good for it.
With the tomato being a 4 now.
And moving on to hole 18, Par 3, 230 feet, I think. Somewhere around there. Yeah. Pretty easy hole. There's not really a whole lot to... No, I'm just kidding. No, there's a bunch of little trees, whole lot of bushy trees here that not to try and miss, so you can go straight at it, or you can follow this hyzer line that the drone is taking. Probably going to see most of our players take this hyzer line. There is also the right-hand forehand, or left-hand backhand, to the left. But the hyzer line, much safer, because you do have these two trees for those shots that go a little bit too straight. So let's see what our players do. Chad up first. Opting for that hyzer line. And that should be in a pretty good spot for the 2. Silas up now. Clipping a little bit of brush and he'll be a bit short, but I mean, he's got an up and down for 3. He's leading by like 5 strokes at this point. Not a lot of worries here. Logan throwing the hyzer as well. And almost getting the ace. Mason also opting for the hyzer. And when it rains, it pours. He hits early. No look at the 2. He'll have to either throw it in or get a nice up and down. And he gets a pretty good up and down. He'll have a pretty easy 3 there. Silas giving it a run. He'll have a pretty easy 3, but he could take a 6 on this and still win. In for the 3. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2022 13th annual Chautuqua Park Open champion, Silas Shultz. Mason tapping in his 3. Logan tapping in his 2. And Chad tapping in his 2.
It looks really nice, but it's kind of like...
And thank you once again to Kapaya Collision Center for sponsoring the tournament. And thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you joining us. And I hopefully catch you on the next tournament, which I believe will be Rowley. So hopefully see you there. God bless. Take care.